Don't want her to keep singing. Good morning, everybody. I would like to call the November 14th Executive Committee meeting to order at 10:34 a.m. And Meta, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Meta. Could we have roll calls, please?
Okay, Parker,
Here.
Balich, Berkowitz, Dean Schlottman, Freeman,
Here.
Mueller,
Here.
Pretzel,
Here.
Richmond,
Here.
Trinier, Van Dyne,
Here.
Williams, Ogalla.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is minutes. We don't have any today. Moving on to old business. There is no old business. We're moving on to new business. Our first item on the agenda is extension of the term of the Board of Review. Dale is here. So Dale, would you come up and let just everyone hear why we do this and when it happens?
You want to put
Because-
it on the, you want to?
Sorry. Motion for the extension of the Board of Review. Motion Balich, second Richmond. Roll call, please.
Who was second?
Richmond. You could still sit down and push the mic on.
Well, now you want discussion. Roll call after discussion.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Put your mic on, Dale.
Telling me.
There you go.
Okay. It's something that's happened for the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years. It's just, because statutory, the board's supposed to end December 31st. It allows us extra days in case something happens. Some of it is like model home status and stuff. We have to take applications till December 31st, make changes and stuff that way. Typically, we've sent our stuff down to ICT and stuff, usually the 2nd, 3rd, 4th of January. It just allows us that time to, after the books close, give us an extension of time and stuff. It's nothing that's unusual for this year versus the last, again, 15, 20, 30 years.
Right. It's a typical thing we did. But I just
Correct.
wanted, we have new board members here. They haven't experienced it, so I thought it'd be great to have you come up and give
Not a
an
problem.
explanation. Thank you. Okay, can we do roll call, please?
Yes,
We did.
Yep. Parker,
Yes.
Balich,
Yes.
Dean Schlottman,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Pretzel,
Yes.
Richmond,
Yes.
Trinier,
Yes.
Van Dyne,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Ogalla.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Just mention, we didn't have any minutes on this agenda because we approved them both minutes last week. Item number 2 is authorizing the county executive to renew contract with Baxter and Woodman to execute the renewal of professional engineering services for the land use department. Can I get a motion? Motion Mueller, second Parker. Any conversation? Previous Balich? Second Dean Schlottman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, appropriating funds for the payment of the county engineer's salary, MFT salary, section 250000-00-CS, section 25 CS 197-00-AC. Can I get a motion? I knew you would, Joe.
I have
Mo-
for 6 years.
Motion Van Dyne, second Mueller, previous previous ballot, second Parker. All in favor? Any opposed? Oh, motion carries. Thank you. Is Jeff in the room? I don't see him. Oh, there you go, Jeff. Okay, number 4, declaring various equipment surplus and authorizing disposal. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion Freeman.
Motion Freeman,
Second.
second Trinier, previous ballot, second Williams. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 5 is opioid. So we have had the opioid settlement dollars coming in. First year, we gave a lot of those dollars to various county groups. And we had our opioid team, which was Sherry Williams and Katie Dean Schlotman that helped us with that. And this year we rolled into some other situations that came up. We approved as a board to give them some funding. So then Mary and I talked to Mahal. She had looked into some different counties and saw how they did it. So since Annette is our project coordinator, I asked her to look at different counties and come with a report for us as to what are other counties doing, and then hopefully moving in, sorry, to the next year, we could go ahead and come up with a plan of how we as a county would like to handle it. So Annette, would you want to come up?
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I researched some of the surrounding counties around here, just to see what everyone was doing. One of the top ones was obviously Rockford, which is Winnebago County. They distributed their funds in 4 different places: coroner's office, judicial circuit clerk, sheriff's office, and health department. A lot of those were hiring coordinators for warm handoffs. So that was most of the positions that were filled there. Champaign County actually assigned a opioid settlement task force. The task force has 7 members, 4 Democrats and 3 Republicans. However, the task force has not met since January of this year, so they have not allocated these funds anywhere just yet. Lake County, they appropriated the funds towards the Office of Education mostly, and they're using that for Narcan training for their staff, as well as making age-appropriate lesson plans for their students and educating them on opioids and how Narcan works. McHenry County has several support groups and programs that they've started, and they allocated the funds towards that, specifically a mobile harm reduction and peer support program. So it's a truck that goes around, and they hired a full-time prevention educator that goes from homes to homes and educates not only families that have had problems with opioids, but recovery as well. And then this educator also goes to schools and educates the staff on prevention and Narcan usage. They also started a hotline that families can call when they see issues with opioid use. And then Kendall County was the last one that I focused on. Their huge focus was on these drop boxes. So their focus is on prevention more than anything. They have several drop boxes that they have now distributed all over the county. And they're working with the coroner's office for ways to dispose of these unused meds. And their huge focus is, again, reduction.
Nobody's there.
Thank you. Vice Chair Parker, just looking at these when I reviewed them the other day, I was really impressed by what Lake County is doing. I think getting this information out to children when they're young, informing them of how dangerous this particular kind of drug can be. And sometimes they're very aware, the children, that their parents are using a drug, and getting them access to Narcan, I think, is important. That was the one that really kind of struck me out of the whole list. I like how Winnebago County is diversified theirs, giving to different offices. And then I assume those offices then are perhaps doing different programs. I don't know.
From the research I did, it's mostly focusing on the warm handoffs.
Mm-hmm. And I think we already do that here in Will County. I don't know if it's everywhere. Mike is right here. Mike, are we doing that everywhere?
Oh, wait, let's put you on.
I don't think I could answer that. I would ask Elizabeth.
Okay.
Can you put your mic on, Micah?
Yeah, I appreciate your thought they were asking the health department. Yeah, and they're
Yeah,
not
I had
present.
answered that I'm not sure I could answer that fully, but Elizabeth might be
Is she here?
able to answer that in more detail.
I didn't see her. She
Yeah,
was hiding.
I mean, they do come and give reports, but as far as across the county, I
Yeah,
couldn't answer that.
yeah. Can you answer about the warm handoff?
Currently, I'm not exactly gonna be able to address the warm handoff. However, the opioid money we have used for a numerous things. So we have the Narcan training that we provide all over the county. We have Narcan red boxes that we have all over the county that we keep filled. And then we are doing, trainings, and then we also, have assisted with opening the, resource, community organization in Joliet. So with.
Are we in every single school though?
We also were required, no, we're not in every single school, but Dr. Burke and her team have gone to numerous schools and done training because it's required that they do the training. But they have not done every school. So
Is there a reason? Is it the school says no?
I think,
We
mean.
don't
you
have
get-
enough
you get
resources?
Training from a variety of different places.
Okay.
So they don't
Just
have to
curious.
select the health department to do the training.
Okay.
So, yes, we have agreements with several schools, but not every school in the entire county. But we do have, I think we have about 10 to 12 of the red boxes, and we continue to get more, and we fill them on a regular basis throughout. They're in libraries, they're at the courthouse, or the health department, they're all over. So those are the things that we are currently doing.
Thank you.
I do.
No, go ahead.
These are great uses. I really appreciate seeing all this. My question is, how much funding, opioid funding, did each of these locations get in comparison to what we got? Do we know that?
Can we find that out?
Yeah.
So we'll have Annette put that together and we'll get that information out to you guys. I have a question.
Well.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Mary, this is for you. Did you hear that Illinois just got another 40 million from a settlement with Kroger? Did you hear that? Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there are ongoing settlements, so every so often we get notice that another lawsuit against a particular defendant has settled. And I do forward that on to the finance director, and they get, that information. Now, some of them, we get very little money from. So the last settlement, we aren't getting a whole lot. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I can get the numbers I have as part of all the settlement agreements. There is an attachment that indicates how much every single entity is going to get over the course of time. It's a lump sum amount, and most of them are spread out over a course of years. So some are spread out over 18 years, some are spread out over 7 years, some are spread out of 12 years. They're all a little bit different. Yeah. I will have somebody compile that and get that to the county board office. Yeah. It's a little bit complicated because some of them have the option to pay, a year early or a couple years early, and they're limited to how many they can do early. And they decide based on their corporate finances whether or not it is beneficial from a tax perspective to pay early, and so they may choose to. And we did get an early payment this year from one of the settlement defendants. So.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I have a question for Elizabeth, and just why I told her to stay there. And then I have another question after that. I would want to know how many cans of Narcan we give out every year and what Narcan costs per can. And then how many people are saved? And I know when you say how many people are saved, it's kind of like a question mark. Because the only ones we can count are the ones that the police save or like that. And I know like we have a food pantry and we have Narcan and that, so people take it home. We have no clue whether they save somebody or not. So the number of people it saves is a very big whatever. I'm just trying to get an idea of what our law enforcement and the rest of them say.
Correct. I don't have the numbers in front
I
of me.
figured you
We
would, and
provided-
that's why I wanted to ask the question.
42.
There you go.
Was it?
So the numbers we provide on a monthly basis to the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I can get those because we just presented the numbers to Micah. And we go all the way to the end of October in the report I think we presented. But the other thing we do, I don't know how much it facilitates the warm handoff, but Dr. Burke has a little postcard that has all of our numbers so that all the first responders have it. So if there is a Narcan event or an overdose event, the first responders are encouraged to give them this, it's a little postcard size informational card with all of our contact numbers to facilitate potentially a warm handoff. So, geez, I need my cheaters here. I'm so sorry. I know.
It's attached to the public health and safety
Yeah.
agenda.
Thank you. I like these. Okay, so this, according to Dr. Burke's report, it looks like through October of 2024, we had distributed 906 containers of Narcan. And then and that was in October only, and then January to October 28th, it was 13,289. And that was over what we've done in the previous years. Currently, we get the Narcan free of charge. The only ones we have to pay for is if we go for the 8 milligram instead of the 4 milligram. And we did get a special grant through IDPH to purchase that, and we did, and then we provided it to the first responders because it's a double dose.
Right.
So. Thank you. But the overdose deaths and things, I can get you those numbers too.
I'm
I'll
just
send it to you.
curious on that stuff. I know we have it all the time at our,
Yeah.
it goes fast.
It's in a lot of micro pantries all over. We're really trying to hit all different places throughout the county to stock it. So, and we're getting more and more requests for those red boxes. And we're just waiting to get more red boxes in so we can put them out in different locations.
We got 2.
Thank you.
Right. And, you know, I don't know if you guys all saw about the 2-year-old who died. And they had given that to that child, and that was absolutely horrific that that child died because of that. So, and maybe it doesn't work for everybody. I'm not really sure what that is. So, but it does help people, and that's a good thing that they found something that can trigger people to come back, and that's a good thing. So,
And we are at an event. I mean, anywhere you go, if you go to any type of event in the county, the Narcan individuals are there. And they also are providing the fentanyl strips. So I don't know if anyone stopped by the Well Woman event yesterday at the National Hookup for Black Women, but we had a couple tables and they said that the Narcan was going like cats and dogs. So.
yeah.
I got.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Okay, then the last question I have is, we've been talking about giving money to Hero and Family Guidance for probably 4 months, maybe longer. And I just want to make sure we voted in the county board to fund them. And I don't know that we are or not. And I just want to make sure that we are, because that's important. You know, we voted to do it. And I expect that it's done already, but I want to, as long as we're talking about opioids, I was going to ask that question at the end of the meeting here, but as long as it's under opioid, I'd like to know, are we funding them finally? Are we not doing our due diligence and letting it go to another month? Are we going to bring it back for a third vote or a fourth vote after we already voted to do it? You know, I want to know, what are we going to do? Are we going to pay them? Are we not going to pay them, or are we paying them? Does anyone know?
So the other day, Jim, Chair Richmond and I went to talk with the county executive regarding a variety of things. And that was one of the things that came up because there were other allocations of dollars to other groups within the budget, right? And one we had heard about before, one we hadn't heard about before. And we're like, well, we have done those allocations and approved them by county board vote to give Heroes and Family Guidance. And we haven't got the resolutions back from that. And Jennifer said that, well, are we going to have an agreement? Because she mentioned situations that happened in the past with another group, the VAC, that we gave funding to, and then that kind of went crazy. And I said, yes, there is an agreement. We have an agreement. Jim said, can we get it more narrow because of 16, 18 pages, which is rather long. So I think what agreement we need is the issue, and that's being held up and determined as to what it is. And ours, we would like to fund these groups, without a reimbursement, and that was part of it at one point. And so that's kind of where we're stuck in the mud. And I know Mary has her light on, so she can say a little bit more. So
So Mike, then if we voted, I mean, this has been a long-standing discussion, and these people have been here numerous times, and we all agreed to support them because they do great work. And then we turn around, is it being held up by just a technicality, or is it being held up by the county executive? Or is it we're just blowing it off? We vote for something and it gets blown off into the wind and no one cares. But our board voted to do it. And now we're not doing it yet. That's why I brought it up. I didn't know if we were. Now I'm a little bit aggravated that we're not doing it. Because we should be doing it. If our board voted to do it, we do it.
I believe
So
we
if
will-
someone's holding it up, what the hell's wrong with them?
I believe we will do it. We just have to get the agreement settled. So Mary,
Well, are we gonna do it next year or 2 years from now? We voted to do it months ago and it ain't done. I want to know why. So someone's gonna have to give me a good answer why. And if it's something garbage about who's gonna oversee it, we didn't vote to have an overseer. We voted just to give them the money.
so we've actually voted to give them the dollars, half of the dollars. One group was split in half and one was split in four because the difference in the dollar amount, with them coming back to the finance committee with a report of what they had done, things like that. After that was satisfied, then they'd get the next payment out. That was what we had set up. So there wasn't
Yeah.
just,
What we voted on, what we set up is what should have happened. It ain't happening. There's a problem. Somewhere, there's a big problem. And I'm upset about it, so I won't talk anymore before I swear.
thank you. Go ahead, Mary.
So it is my understanding that Family Guidance did get the first payout and they bought the van with that. At the last county board, and I don't know who brought it forward, but it came from county board, an amendment to the resolution that required an agreement that would be drafted in conformance with a program adopted by county board. And you have no program. So how do we know how
So-
to draft the agreement?
So our program is
until
the
there is a
opioid settlement
program.
fund program that is stated, that is
Well,
what the
that's not,
program is.
that is not a program that's been adopted by county board.
So I agree,
I
but
would-
Mary, we said we were gonna go ahead and finish these two, and then, like I said, we had Annette go out there, see what others are doing, so that we could go ahead and move forward. We started with these two. We weren't prevented before. We feel that what they do and they're good standing organizations to move forward with them. That's the intent. That was the intent of the board.
All I can go by is what the county board voted on. And you voted on a resolution to have an agreement drafted in conformance with a program adopted by county board. And there is no program. I even asked at the meeting, do you have a program? And I was told, no, you don't.
The-
So I need, if you want to amend your resolution, you can do that at this meeting. But right now, the direction I have from county board pursuant to the vote taken by county board by an amendment to their resolution by county board is that there be a program that gives me guidance as to how to draft the agreement.
I got a backup question then. We talked about that in committee and we said, we'll just change it around and give them the money right now in increments like Judy
It
said.
doesn't matter what you talked about at committee.
Well,
What
in other
matters
words,
is
the vote
what
of the
you
county
voted
board
on.
doesn't make a difference
No,
anymore?
I am specifically saying that the vote of the county board does matter. And this is what you voted on.
We voted to give them the money. And we
You-
voted, like Judy said, half the money and then the other half of the money. We didn't say, oh, we're gonna wait 6 months or a year, or if it never even happened. These groups are waiting for their money. They thought they're getting it. Now they ain't getting it. They're gonna have to wait till we come up with a plan that everyone has to approve.
That's
And
what you
that's what you're
voted
telling
on.
us? So these groups, they might as well go go outside and eat grass because they're not going to get anything better.
I didn't make the amendment.
So, I think part of it got confused with others saying, well, we had to do this when I got dollars from ARPA and such, but ARPA dollars were different. They had a lot of rules and regulations, things tied to it. Opioid very specific as to what you can and cannot do it. I mean.
But we can't
cannot.
bind them to that without an agreement, Judy.
Right.
That is binds us. And I understand that.
So just for clarification, during the county board meeting, Member Freeman tried to make a motion to amend the resolution. Unfortunately, there was a lot of input also by the county executive trying to format what that amendment was going to be, by other members of the county board who were trying to format what that was going to be. And it got all convoluted until the very end, at which time Member Freeman made it very specific by reading into the record. If you listen to the county board meeting, it's at 3 hours and 22 minutes where she specifically states in that meeting what she wants in her amendment. Her amendment does not say subject to an agreement. That is not what she said. So that is not part of the resolution that was presented. I have in fact gone back and forth with the attorney for the county executive. We have listened to both of it. It is not there. She does not say the words subject to.
The resolution specifically requires an agreement.
The resolution does require an agreement after being reviewed by the state's attorney's office.
And the
Family
agreement is to
guidance
be in
has
conformance
submitted
with a program
second,
adopted by
Family
county.
Good Guidance has submitted an agreement. It was reviewed by the state's attorney's office, in which Mary responded that it contains all of the things that she wanted. So it has been reviewed. It has not been executed at this point.
I don't think I gave a formal opinion on the agreement. I simply said, it looks like it's in good shape and I think we can work with this. But I need a program from county board because that's what the resolution provides. And if you listen to what Micah said, she said she wanted to adopt exactly what was provided for in HERO. And that was a written amendment that was provided to the staff. And it makes total sense that you would treat all recipients of this money in the same way.
Well, unfortunately, that is not what her final amendment
Well,
said.
The
Because of
resolution
all
does
the people
require
that
a
were talking.
program and it does require an agreement. And when that's part of it, you have the agreement before you give out the money, for heaven's sakes.
There is
That's
an
a
agreement.
basic concept.
Absolutely. Nobody's disputing the agreement. The program is what you guys were discussing, and the program is the distribution of the opioid funds.
County board has not adopted that. They have not said that. And as you can see, many counties have programs and they're very different. The county board has not spoken on what the program is.
So if
That is
we
what
did not-
staff has decided.
Okay, Mary, here's the thing. If we have not adopted a program, how did we give anybody any money whatsoever, including our own
Where,
departments?
show me the resolution where you adopted a program.
Did you adopt a program for the distribution of the cannabis money?
We did not.
It is not part of the opioid.
Right.
But you
But cannabis,
adopted,
cannabis is tax revenue.
you adopted a resolution saying that the money would be distributed in conformance with the program. You set that standard. You, the county board, did.
Right, right. So it's a disagreement in what wording we're using here and what people are thinking, yes. Let me have some green lights. You're on, Jackie, though.
So is there anything stopping us from very simply adopting a program, since it's on the agenda today, that states that we will use the opioid funds for this, and this, and we vote on it at the full board meeting next Thursday, and that is our program. And we can always change our program if we want to include something new or we want to remove something. We can say what our program is, and then we're done.
Sure.
You can do that, or you can amend your resolution from last month and remove the condition that it's subject to the program.
Yeah, either one.
You can do either one.
It's not been signed. I don't think they can
I-
release it at this.
I think it
point.
has been signed. I
It
think-
hasn't been returned to us
Okay.
yet. Go ahead,
I
Sherry.
guess I was probably gonna say same thing that Jackie said too. We need to make a motion here to do that, or I mean, if Okay. Let's adopt the opioid. My motion is to adopt the opioid program that we have been, that we received from the state's attorney's office. So it's the national program. So that is my motion that the county board adopt that program.
I don't know.
Well, the
Yeah.
the opioid program that we're talking about, right? The
Yes.
opioid settlement program. The-
program.
Well, that's why I'm saying we're the one that we were given that we're working off of.
And we can amend it.
Sherry, that you would like to adopt a program in Will County to distribute the opioid funds pursuant to the opioid settlement.
Okay, there you go.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Second.
That is my,
Sherry,
that is my motion.
Then check second, Dean Schlappen.
Can we have a roll call, please? Do you have that? Okay, thank you. Oh, let me put you on. There you go.
Parker,
Yes.
Balich,
Yes.
Dean Schlottman, Freeman,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Pretzel,
Yes.
Richmond,
Yes.
Trinier,
Yes.
Van Dyne,
Yes.
Williams, Ogalla,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you. Annette, you see what you started here? So, thank you for your report. It was good. And then we'll look at getting the other information that Mary can send to you, and then we can send that out to everybody else. Thank you. Okay, so I think this was a great start for us. I hope that we look at this because we're going to take the two heroes and the family guidance, move with them. Then I think as we move into the next session, we should look at what other counties are doing and decide what we want to do. And again, we can do something completely different because they're all doing their thing. So we can decide what we'd want to do outside of what we've done in the past and giving it to our own county agencies. So, okay, moving on. Number 6, Allies for Agriculture. So last year, we had a proclamation that came forward from Mark Schneiderwin at the Farm Bureau to say that Will County is an ally for agriculture and supporting the agriculture within the county and all that it promotes, the revenue it brings in, the employees that work there. There are various employees because there are various different types of agriculture. So that is what we're going to do next. Can I get a motion, please? Motion, Balich, second Van Dyne. Any discussion? Mike, I see your lights on.
So I am reading this and this resolution sounds more like a proclamation in a resolution form. It doesn't, what exactly is it doing?
It's just recognizing the fact that Will County is an ally for agriculture.
So that's a proclamation.
We don't have
To
proclamations, so we have
recognize something
resolutions.
is
We have
a-
resolutions. We don't have proclamations, so we have to do resolutions, you guys. It doesn't say, it doesn't say that. It just says that we as a board recognize the fact that agriculture is important. The board approves that the recognition of the value of agriculture contributes to the county and that the rural way of life is the backbone of the country. And as such, we'll continue to support efforts to made to accommodate future access for rural community.
Okay,
We can do a resolution that states things like that.
okay, because I was stuck between this, is this a proclamation? Because it
No, it's-
doesn't.
it's a
Resolution, actually.
it's a
is
resolution.
doing Something.
A resolution can be a statement.
Okay.
We've done statements before in resolutions. This isn't the first time. Anyone? Well, I just was wondering if anyone else, we had a motion. Dan, did you want to say something? Come on up. Oop, he's on.
So I read this too, and I think I agree with everything that's on there. But one of the things that I was hoping for was to consider a standing committee for the agricultural, I think that this is a great start, but I think with our agricultural community and economy and our access to transportation, that our agricultural economy could grow and be very prosperous for Will County, given our access to different means of distribution through our barges
So-
and trucks and So I'm just saying that this is just a good preamble for that. And I just want to take this opportunity to bring that
So that'd
idea.
be item number 7.
Oh, did you have that? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Now I
okay.
feel that was my Rosanna Dana moment. So
It's ag-
never mind.
You can just stay there if you'd like and speak again. Okay, so we had motion, we had a second. Previous by Richmond, second by Dean Schlotman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 8. Authorizing number 7. I was lost in my writing. Resolution supporting the exploration of local food sources as an alternative to the South Suburban Airport. So this is something that we've talked about for a long time. We've had presentations about our NACO Good Food for All process. To look at this situation and say, one thing we learned from COVID was that we need to have a local sustainable food source. And it makes sense to look at an area that is agricultural right now and possibly find a means or a way to study to protect it so that we can continue to do that, teach future generations about ag and what the potential means. So that's what this resolution is about. If I could get a motion to put on the floor, please. Motion Freeman, second Balish. Okay, discussion. Jackie, your phone light is on. Go ahead, Jackie.
Do you live in the footprint of the airport?
Do I live in the footprint of the airport? I do.
Do you have a farm?
I do.
Do you farm it?
I do. Why? You don't know this? I think you know this.
Never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. My understanding is that all the land, and I don't know this for a fact, but the majority, I'll just say, of the land that is in the footprint of the airport is currently being farmed. Would that be a fairly true statement?
That is a true statement.
Okay. Do we have the authority to do something on land that we don't own?
So here's the thing, Jackie, the point, that has nothing to do with this. This is to put forward an idea that makes sense. They've been talking about the airport since 1968, and they've spent hundreds of millions, probably billions of dollars on the study and everything like that. And I think we need to take and give an alternative. I know that the governor asked for an alternative. He wasn't given an alternative. So it's like, what can we do to promote Will County, to protect Will County for the reasons all the people live here? And I think people live here because we are so unique, we're so diverse, that everybody has a different piece of the pie here and can live their life and things like that. And farmers are important. Their jobs are important. Their families are important. They're small businesses. We always support small businesses. So it's not saying that, Jack. It's just moving it forward so that we can continue to take this conversation to Springfield and have those conversations with our legislators. Because I'll tell you this, the legislators that represent Eastern Will County live in Cook County. And I've gone before them multiple times and spoken. I said, if you guys had taken all the money you've invested in these communities, I used to live in Park Forest. I went to school in Chicago Heights. I worked in Harvey. If we had taken those dollars and funded programs in those communities, they would not be the communities they are today by putting jobs locally and supporting those communities. They didn't do that. They've just hung on to this pipe dream of building an airport in Peatone. And so this is to work towards providing a different alternative to the idea of an airport on that land. So while, yes, that land currently is being farmed, it's being leased from local farmers to farm.
That's why
all of it is not purchased, and the ultimate footprint is 20,000 acres. So if you look at a map, that takes up like all the land in Eastern Will County between the towns of Crete and Moni and Beecher and Peatone, and that's a huge landmass. So it's like, what do we want to do? What do we support here as a county? What do we support? And how do we want to move forward? Because our legislators have basically put that entire area into a hostage situation for decades, and I don't think it's fair. So I think it's time we looked at something different that's beneficial. Like I said, COVID taught us we need to have a local sustainable food sources. What would be wrong with the idea of putting something out there which could be like an incubator and it doesn't even have to be in this land, of course, just an alternative to what we could do with agriculture, and put in an incubator where we could bring in, we have JJC has a great ag program in Cook County. There's a high school, it's an ag high school. We have a lot of people who are like doing canning and such, building like a commercial kitchen out there where people could come process foods, learn how to process foods, plan for the future, and then teach conservation practices for row crop as well as specialty crop, which you see happening all over. People love farmers markets and that. So it's putting another idea on the table, and that Will County to have a voice to take that to Springfield as this is what we think you guys should look into, because they've come up with nothing and haven't built an airport. I think it's a plan.
Are you finished?
I
Because my question-
did I ask you to speak again? I mean, come
My
on, Jackie, this
question-
is ridiculous.
My question is, there's currently farming going on that property, active farming, producing food. Here it says there is a need to actively explore adequate supplies of locally produced foods. They are producing food. That's what a farm does. As an alternative to the airport, well, there is no airport, and that food's being produced now. So I just,
So you're not,
don't
you're
get
not
it.
understanding the full
no, I
concept?
really don't.
Excuse me, can I
Just
just
a minute.
comment?
No, you can
I'm
speak when I
finished
ask
now.
you to
I
speak.
said what I needed to
You can
say.
finish you can talk when I ask you to speak. So the difference would be is this land is owned by the state of Illinois. It's not on the tax rolls. That is a negative to the areas out in this, the communities out in that area, that they're held hostage. There can be no growth because this property is there. So the intent, the long-term intent would be to take those properties, sell it back to the private person. Some of the homesteads still exist. Some homes are still there. Some have been knocked down. You could sell that homestead, and you could let a family live there in the rural area. You could sell some of the farmland to the farmers in the area, but then we could give there's a huge portion of tree land that you could give to the Will County Forest Preserve. I mean, beautiful. They planted these trees years ago using CRP funding, which is federal dollars. And we could do that and have more forest preserve out in eastern Will County that currently we don't have. On top of that, we could also go ahead and take a portion of it and put in training area, take the land, teach people how to live off the land, create local sustainable food. We grow corn and beans there, but this goes beyond that. This goes to the fact of looking at developing a small local meat processing, because we don't have that. And that was a big problem during COVID. The big plants shut down. So doing something like that, taking our hemp that we do grow out there, which regenerates soil, and taking that property, something like that, and doing hemp processing, because hemp is amazing, all the different things and uses you have for hemp. Right now, our farmers take their stuff to Texas. So that'd be a great way to bring new business, sustainable business to Will County that kind of supplements what's happening at our inland port here, where they're hauling our grain out to other areas. But this is a different type of food source. It's not all corn and beans. It would be meat and things like that. So I think it's an idea. I thought that this board was in favor of supporting things like this. We've had a lot of conversations over time. So it makes sense to put the land back into the hands of the landowner rather than having thousands of acres of property that's owned by the state and not on the tax rolls. That's just an idea. So I'm gonna let Micah speak, and then if anyone else, and then we'll go to Dan.
So this is just an exploration. This is just to get ideas for what people think might be a good idea for this land. Is that correct?
Correct.
There is no real action being taken except for, hey, what do you think? Correct?
Well, and you know what, and having that conversation with Springfield, because they're not having that conversation. They're stuck on the same old thing they've been promoting for years and years and years.
Is the conversation with Springfield in this resolution? Because I didn't.
But we would go when we lobby, right?
Okay.
We have lobbyists.
Because I mean, to just go explore and have people give ideas, I don't see a problem with exploration and ideas. Because that leaves it open to anybody, a business that wants to come in, or a huge meat manufacturing company wanting to come in. It's open to all kinds of things. Correct?
It's open to all kinds of things with the concept of let's take a different look at the land that has been sold, has been purchased by the state. And let's make a plan for the future that makes sense.
That's the way I was interpreting it, so I just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't see anyone else on the committee's lights on. So Dan,
Yeah, so I just want to address that, not that I have a problem with what they grow there, but I just wanted to, if you're considering what most of the produce or what the crops are is food for humans, it's not. I think this plan here that is being proposed, the Good Food for All, is to encourage new beginning and underserved peoples to start farms to actually grow food, whether it be through community gardens, greenhouses, and not just for the farmers, but for the transportation, the market places, because it might come to some sort of a surprise to some of you, but we actually have food deserts within 20 minutes of where we're sitting, where there's communities where people can't even buy food in their communities. And if you go within an hour, there's like 3 or 4. So that's what this program's about. This is what we went down to NACO and they approved it. Everybody liked the idea. And, hopefully they're going to amend the Farm Bill Act and have some sort of, reflection of this in the Farm Bill Act, which we've done twice. So, and I think it's great that, we have a representative, someone who's actually lived and farmed those areas, who understands what's going on down there, because those farmers do need representation. And the fact that we can lease the land from the government that they took from us to actually earn a living, I guess that's good for now, but at any time that could change. And the idea that they would put an airport and take all that land from us, especially now when we're predicted by the year 2040 to lose more farmland than any other county in the country, except for Maricopa County. That is, we are losing one of our most valuable resources, which is our farmland. So to think that they're going to put a cargo airport, which is not needed. I don't know if you understand that Rockford is the 4th largest cargo airport in the country, and they can put out a lot more cargo. They are not full. And then Kankakee and Gary actually asked for this airport. Gary needs this airport. Okay. They have done this before, and they've done this in St. Louis, where they have 5 airports and that airport is barely existing. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm speaking out of line, but this is Cook County reaching in and trying to scoop up our land. Okay. They did it in O'Hare. They tried to do it in here, and thank God the state of Illinois stopped them. But the organization that is going to be overseeing this airport, if it got built, is not going to be to the benefit of Will County. So, yeah, this is a big deal. And if we want to talk about an economy, an agricultural economy, not many land masses are like this in Illinois. We actually have the ability for distribution of meats and other products that could be processed right here that could actually increase the revenue and still keep our land. So I think that's kind of what's at stake here. So thank you for your time.
so it's an alternative to be considered, because there has never been an alternative considered for the land that is out there that has been sitting for decades. The first land parcel was purchased in 2002, and that's a very long time. So it's obvious there hasn't been an interest in that. So Sherry, did you want to have anything?
Well, I just, I think, I have no problem with the resolution, but I think that we're not addressing the fact that we need to do something about rescinding whatever legislation brought the airport into being. So that's something that we have not addressed, and unless we do, I mean, we can't just use their land to do whatever we want. I like the alternative part of it, but we also need to be trying to work on is getting rid of the airport in the first place.
So the idea of an alternative plan to an airport, such as like the courthouse, what do you do at the courthouse? You're gonna leave it as a park, build another thing. There's two alternatives that you could do with that. They've never explored another alternative. When Governor Pritzker was elected, he asked for an alternative to an airport and he never received that. So there's a large group that's working to give an alternative. We've had that conversation here. Many people I thought were in support of looking at alternative. We don't own the land. We couldn't do that, but it's like, okay, let's make a different plan for the future. Let's take the dollars that we used and the land that we have and do something else with it. And tomorrow in Hammond, Indiana, there's a large conference going on from a lot of different conservation groups, and Chicago Wilderness is leading it up. And they're having all these conversations. They will be talking about Oneco Good Food for All. They will be talking about an alternative possibility. So this is just, if you don't have an alternative, nobody talks an alternative. Everyone keeps running down the road the same way. So it's just an opportunity to put it out there to say that, Jim.
So what we're trying to do is provide the initial portion of a solution to a problem, a concern, something that all Will County residents should be concerned about, as well as anybody that eats food in this region. If we're going to start chewing up a bunch of farmland for an airport or solar utility plants, things like that, that should be something that as a board, we should be concerned about, no matter what district you represent. So.
Yeah, and it is a loss of jobs. People don't think of it as the true loss of jobs. You're losing the farmer, the family farm, small business, and how many families are involved for so many years. And then they provide jobs to seed and fertilizing companies and implement companies and many, many, many different things. It's not just looking at a parcel and saying, oh, somebody lives there and they're farming. It's not one thing, it's the whole thing. So it's much like, like a union employee that works somewhere. It's not just one union employee. They work everywhere. The jobs that the union jobs create, whether it's a union job here, my husband's 134 electrician, my son's, I think he's 178. I forget the number that he is. He's an electrician as well. So there's lots of different jobs. And I think we need to look at each one and respect each one and see what value they all bring. And Sherry, as far as what you're saying, we could work through our legislative committee to do something with that legislation that was passed in 2015. And that legislation did give control of it to the Cook County. So, I mean, that's something the legislative committee could look at going into the next session as well. So, Jackie.
I just wanted to say that it is in the legislative agenda. So I just kind of feel like this is repetitive. We already have it in our agenda. So.
It's a statement. A resolution is a statement that can go out to the public. We don't really take our legislative agenda to it. Okay, so if we could get, I'm sorry?
You want roll?
Yes, please. I guess so.
Parker,
Yes.
Ballage, Dean Schlattman, Freeman,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Pretzel,
Yes.
Richmond, Trinier, Van Dyne,
Yes.
Williams, Ogala,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, number 8, we have Jeff here in case anyone has any questions. This is authorizing the designation of Moni Manhattan Road, County Highway 6, as a freeway by the county under the Illinois Highway Code. And this portion of road had previously been under the jurisdiction of the state of Illinois. And Jeff looked into, and I was very happy that he decided to take it over because I drive Moni Manhattan to get here. And you can easily see when you're done with the county, when the weather's bad, snow and such, and just the overall maintenance of the road. I know exactly when the county is no longer taking care of that road and when the state is taking care of that road. So for me, the county does a fabulous job. So I was very happy that the county took over this portion of the road. It'll make driving safer for everybody. So I was happy about that. And this is just designating it as a freeway, which is something we do on our large arteries. So anybody, I get a motion to put it on the table, please?
Motion Freeman.
Motion Freeman, second Parker. And I see Steve has a question. So Jeff, maybe you want to come up too. So, yeah. Jeff, can you please push your, thank you. Oh, there you go.
Morning, committee.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Board Member Balch.
Go ahead, Steve, you're up, and then I think Meta might have a question.
I'll let Jeff
Okay.
talk first, because,
Okay, so can you just give a little explanation then?
Sure. Back in 2003 or 4, we looked at all our county highways as far as designating them county freeways for the major arterials throughout the county to more or less protect them at a higher level. Manhattan Moni that we already have to the east of Center Road was designated in 2004 as a county freeway. So when we took over this next 2 miles that Board Member Ogala mentioned, we would like to extend that freeway designation all the way to 45 to maintain that continuity.
Go ahead, your light's on, Steve, go ahead.
okay, well, what's the difference between calling it a freeway and a road?
Sure. Keep it very simply, it's very similar. The design standards are very similar with the really only 3 caveats as far as we're concerned. Our ordinance kind of adds a few things that kind of backs up what the state statute is. State statute makes that the county board actually has to approve access points on there. So it's an added level. When someone wants to come in and get a new permit or alter their entrance, they usually only have to go to the county engineer. Except on a county freeway, you also have to get county board approval. It's just an extra step. So like you are aware, for protection of our freeways, I assume that's what they mean by that, but it's just a step. More importantly, in our ordinance, when we designate a freeway, we then have the developers dedicate 75 feet of right-of-way instead of 60. Our general highways are 60-foot right-of-way. Freeways require 75. So if a new developer comes in, they would have to dedicate that. We already addressed, single-family homes and that previously, so that's not included. But a big land development comes in, it adds that added protection. And then the other thing is for access control. With freeways, we limit our major access points to quarter miles. That way we don't have these multiple accesses throughout our long arterials to kind of cause problems with congestion. So the large developments are limited to a quarter mile. That's what a freeway does.
I was
I
gonna
I
go
don't
with-
go on that
go
road a
ahead.
lot, but whenever, like you just said, from 60 feet to 75 feet, that means that you could expand that road into a much bigger than it is. It's already difficult to go out and make a left-hand turn. So that would, if you expanded it, it would make it so it'd be almost impossible without getting in an accident. You add another lane on there? Well, how are you gonna make a left-hand turn? I don't even want to make a left-hand turn now.
Well, anytime we do an improvement out there, and a left turn lane is warranted, we're going to add the left turn lane in the middle if we add more lanes or keep.
But I'm
things the
talking
same.
about if you're coming out of a street. There's streets on there too. Now, I just look at it like, this is, the beginning of another, I don't know how many residents live there along that road, but it reminds me of the same crap we got at 143rd Street. Exactly the same thing. We start off with something that sounds nice, and then next thing you know, government overreach, here it comes. The government says we're gonna make it 75 feet, and 75 feet's 150 feet. So now you're gonna have a monster road. So, I mean, it's one of those things that, to me, it's like what you just said. That's what I was worried about. And what you just said indicates that we gotta trust the county, whether it's you or a replacement for you when you're dead or sick or whatever. But we gotta trust the government. I don't trust nobody in the friggin' government. Especially on roads, because look what's
Now
happening.
they've all gone crazy.
I mean, on 143rd Street, we voted, it's like, how many times to stop everything,
but
and it's not going into effect. You could do the same thing that the people over there. Exactly the same thing. And I don't want to see that happen. So I'm going to be voting no on this kind of stuff.
Okay. Frankie?
I was just wondering what happens to it west of Route 45 there. Does it
it's still,
West of 45, it remains an IDOT route, so it's still their roadway.
still their roadway.
Thanks.
So that'll be my next step to get Jeff to look at that.
At least we get
Fair.
them to another state route, Route 45, instead of stopping at Center Road at this point.
Right.
I actually use this, I go to Peachfield Green Garden.
Yeah, I think it's a definite benefit that this county owns it and hopefully the county can continue going all the way to Route
It would be something to consider, but we're going to bite off chunks.
Right, because there's an improvement that has to be made
The
there.
road definitely needs improvements.
Right, it's not in good shape. So, Micah?
Thank you. I am curious. I know that you said it's a 2 mile stretch. It needs lots of repairs. There's gonna be snow removal. Is there funding available to take care of all of those needs that this little section has?
Yeah, we're incorporating all that into our general maintenance plan, and the actually improvement of this 2 mile section is built into our current 5-year plan. So we're looking to get a contract underway to start design of that 2 mile within the next couple of months.
Right. And this isn't doing anything. He already took the jurisdiction over, so.
Okay, thank you.
Jackie?
Jeff, I've been meaning to ask you, where is the overlay plan? Is that in the 5-year plan?
People turn.
The overlay plan?
Yeah, for replacing,
In the multi-year plan, we just
Laptop.
put a general dollar amount for overlays because we don't generally plan 5 years out for overlays.
so that just comes up annually?
Yeah, we review the
each
roadways
road.
on an annual basis. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, for that.
welcome.
Joe, did you want to say anything? No, just, okay. Oh, changed his mind. Okay. I was just making an adjustment, okay. All right, thank you, Jeff, for that explanation.
So I think we need a roll.
Yes, a roll call, please.
Parker,
Yes.
Balich. Dean Schlottman,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Pretzel,
He left.
Richmond, Trinier,
Yes.
Van Dyne,
Yes.
Williams, Ogala.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, item number 9 is transferring appropriations within various county budgets.
Motion Mueller.
Motion Mueller,
Second Parker.
second Parker. Any conversation? Can I get a previous roll? Previous Richmond, second Dean Schlattman. Steve, would you like to be a yes?
Steve.
Transferring funds.
Just making sure, I'm thinking about.
I know you're thinking about it. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 10 is appointments from the county executive. So our first is approving the county executive appointments to the Planning and Zoning Commission of Will County. Motion Freeman,
Second Parker.
second Parker, previous Williams, second Van Dyne. All in favor? Frankie, would you like to be included? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 2, approving the county executive appointments to the Rock Creek Drainage District of Will County. Can I get a motion? Motion Mueller, second Freeman, previous row Parker, second Pretzel. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, moving to other new business. I don't have any other new business at this time. Request for state's attorney opinion. We removed all those, although I know that there is some work getting done on the rodeo stuff and it's just time consuming to get to the point that everyone can agree. So next move to committee reports versus Chair Pretzel, Land Use and Development. Put your mic on, please.
Yeah, land use met on Tuesday. Everything was, pretty easy. I think we were in full agreement on everything. So review your agenda and we shouldn't have any problems. Yeah. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Chair Finance, Chair Richmond.
I want to be as optimistic as Frankie. We just had some housekeeping as well as the levies for all the different funds in the general fund. And then the last item was the approval of the budget. The only thing that got changed on that was $200,000 for the Route 66 Centennial was put in a contingency so we could gather further information on that. That's about all the excitement for finance.
Okay, next is Chair.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't necessarily going to report on transportation. Everything went smooth, but I did have a question for Mr. Richmond, if I may. Do you anticipate the budget going fairly smoothly next week since the committee recommendation was unanimous? I probably should have addressed the chair. I'm sorry for that. Okay.
Put your mic on.
I mean, we had,
Like Jim.
sorry. All right. I mean, I think our meeting was very amicable. We had a good discussion, which healthy discussion is always good. And I mean, we didn't have to call the sheriff up or anything.
Okay.
so, I mean, I think it should be all right.
Thanks for that answer. All right, nothing on transportation.
I
Thank
started
you.
off with, I'll be optimistic, so.
Next, we move to Chair of Public Health and Safety, Micah. Get you on.
Thank you. We are bringing forth, one, I have got to find it again. It's somewhere on this page. One resolution to, increase private pay rates for Sunny Hill Nursing Home. Unfortunately, it's a evil necessity. But it's out there. I also had several reports. Out of the ordinary was a report from the Continuum of Care's annual report. I went to their meeting and I brought it forth and had it attached. So it does include, homelessness in our county, some needs in our county. So you might want to take a peek at it. That's all.
Thank you, Micah. Next, we have the Legislative Committee, and I know that Julie had to go home. She wasn't feeling well, so we have Vice Chair Mueller.
We had a typical meeting where we discussed, heard from our lobbyists for state and federal. We did one thing of significance you should make sure you look at. We did pass our state legislative agenda. So please read that over before the meeting so that if you have any questions, you can direct them to Chair Berkowitz or myself, and we can try to help you with that. But yeah, it's in there. It's, a lot of similar stuff, but some updates that you'll be interested in.
So keep your mic on.
And then I was not in attendance at
Wait,
Capitol.
Oh, you weren't in attendance at
No,
Capitol.
so I
Okay.
think that Joe and Jim handled things for me because Annette wasn't, I tried to get Annette. We both were not well. I texted Jackie and Sherry because they're my leaders and said, so Jackie came here and I guess Joe and Jim handled things.
All
But
right then.
Thank you, teamwork. Sorry for the wasted
Oh.
5.
We did not have a meeting. Was no quorum. Okay, so there we have that. Thank you. Sometimes it happens like that. People just can't
We
get
just
there.
had basic reports.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You can read it.
Next, executive, we already did that. So moving on to our last committee is Chair Schlotman for landfill. Thank you.
Nothing significant to report. We just went through some executive minutes and approved them.
I know. Next, we move on to the ad hoc Access Will County, which is Chair Butler, which their meeting is not until Tuesday next week. Oh, it's after this. Oh, geez. Okay, after this, stay around if you want to hear. Moving forward to number 2 is the Ad hoc Old Courthouse Committee, and they will be meeting Tuesday. And the Ad hoc Ordinance Review Committee meeting they're also meeting next Tuesday. And hopefully they'll get things reviewed so that it can come back to us to get a section approved by the board. Next, we have, moving on, we have public comments. And do we have any public comment? No public comment? Okay. Announcements and reports by the chair. I think we had a lot of conversation today. I want to thank everyone for their work on the executive committee, and as chairs, Meta, you do a great job with capital and fill in when needed, which has always been very appreciated. So thank you for that. And so that I don't have anything else. Moving on to, we don't have executive session, I believe. So if I could get a motion to approve the county board agenda as amended. Motion Schlattman, second Freeman, previous Richmond, second Balish, all in favor? Any opposed? And do we have all yeses on those last votes? Okay, all right, motion carries, thank you. And if I could get a motion to adjourn, please. Motion Freeman, second Richmond, thank you. Our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, December 12th. So remember, next month will be different because we have the swearing in on the 2nd. And then the first meeting will be the 12th. Well, that will be everything on the executive committee only.